Sir, center. Sir, center. Hold on.
सर यहाँ पे सर उनको सर सर यहाँ सर सर आप नहीं कॉल सर नहीं कॉल सर यहाँ सर यहाँ
सर होल्ड हो वाइट बना रहा हूँ
Van Gogh could find more colors on his palette than other artists, and in the same way, R.D. Burman seems to have found extra notes. Like, where does he get that sound from, or that tune from, or that pitch from? And he seems to hear what other people do not hear. The normal ear hasn't, caught it, and he has caught it, and he has brought it in his music. And he also is such a sensitive person, like we saw in the film, that he feels more than other people feel. And that is why this film was just not a biopic. It was like a little insight or a window into this man. And even after 10 years and Pancham Unmixed and knowing Pancham, Brahmaji and the team of Mobius Films realized that we can still seek more. And they created something called the Pancham Legacy.
They will just join, but I would like to unveil the Pancham Legacy thing a little later, after we get a few things from them. I think if we can just have them say a little bit. I know that they can talk for hours and they have so much to say that it will be impossible to even contain them. Vivek in particular, a personal connect with every one of them, like all of you, all of us. So, in case anyone I'm missing from the fraternity, yes, okay. But before we get into that, there comes the star. Come, yes, Sonu, come, join me. Yes. Okay, I just put them on here and right. Okay. So before I ask Sonu to come here, I would like to invite and showcase my team here who has been behind this all. So starting from Shibani. Shibani is on camera. Srishti, Suhana, Amar, Sanjay, Rakesh, and the captain of the lot, Tanvi, join here. So I do very little work. All these people help me do so much with what they have to put together and say. So thank you very much for being here. So I just introduced the 10 years of the film and what all it has managed to do in terms of people's hearts. Rest we will talk a little bit about. Yes, okay. Panchamda, very grateful if you can just join, and then maybe we'll just. So I think just a quick round, and then again you can have after we reveal the legacy thing, we can just have one-on-one outside or inside. What's the plan? We can have it outside also. Okay. So I think so we'll get done in about say about 10 minutes of each one talking a little bit, and about 5-6 minutes of seeing the promo. Okay. So okay. So Sonu, please if you can join here.
बाहर चलूं?
Please, Sonu.
Yes. Done. Okay.
Big congratulations to Brahma. With a name like that, of course, you know, he's conquered the world with this beautiful film. And I think no performance of mine is complete without doing a lovely set of all Panchamda songs, which is everlasting, evergreen, and I think the best ever anywhere in the world. So I'll just say big congratulations and big hand for Brahma.
So I think I'm the one of the few people who have not met him. The work is out of question. So I'm like Eklavya. I've watched him from far. I've understood and interacted with people who knew him. So my knowledge is that of a fan. And but what I can tell you one thing is that 10 years back when Burman came to do this interview in film, he was as clueless as me. He was just taking a bite and wondering ki kuch hoga, kuch banega. I'm sure this was beyond his wildest dream where this incredible documentary has reached. And that is the biggest gift that Pancham has given him and to all of us. He said he's brought us together thanks to this film. Otherwise we don't even meet. I think this is one of the great things that R.D. Burman has done. And from my personally, I can tell you one thing, that every song is a struggle for a composer because of the composition, because the way you have to sell it, approvals and all that. But sometimes when I think the kind of stuff that he has done, that he has pulled off, it's also a big tribute to the people who are around him, all the directors and producers who allowed that kind of a genius composition to take place. I think it's a big, how to say, it's an applause to that era, that time, who recognized that genius and allowed that genius to perform. I'm very happy that Pancham is not here today because he would have been in trouble. Thank you.
Well, hello everybody. All I can say is I've been really lucky along my journey with Panchamda because my dad, P.L. Raj, who has been a choreographer for Sholay, Sargam, Dawn, all those films, one day when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, he took me to meet S.D. Burman. So I was this kid, and then senior Burman called out, Pancham! And then one guy walked in with glasses, these soda water bottle glasses. And I was the kid, and my dad spoke. He introduced him to my dad, and I was just the bystand guy. And that's the first time I saw him, met him. Years later, as I grew up, when I must have been like 9, 10, 11, I would go to his house when they were composing, and I would sit with my dad, and I was like that, again, offside guy. But I was really interested in recording, so they would be recording all the compositions as they were arranging, composing. So I was just really interested, and so of course he knew me, and then later on I became a professional musician, and then I got to play for him, and I had one super moment where about 40, 50, 60 musicians used to play together at that time, so I was one more musician. And there was a chai break generally about 11 o'clock. And that day, everybody moved out of the studio, and I was just sitting with my guitar. And I'd composed some piece, I was still going on in my head. And there was no one in the studio. And as I kept playing that piece, suddenly the piano started playing the same piece, trying to figure out what the notes are. And I said, oh, somebody's behind the piano trying to figure my composition out. And then he got it, and then he stood up, and then I saw Panchamda. He was sitting there and just looked at me and says, super. And wow, what a shot in my arm, as a composer, when he tells you superb. And I must have been 18, 19 at that time. And then years later, so then I played for him, and then years later, to be told that he had just passed away, and then he had apparently he wanted to do all his music for the next generation, and he had told Asha ji that he wants to do it with me. Leslie के साथ काम करके मुझे मेरा ही music एक नई generation के लिए करना है. And I was shocked. I said, of all the people in the world, why me? He could have chosen anybody. But he had just passed away, and you know, Asha ji asked me, "Tum karoge kya?" I said, well, "Where's the question of saying no?" So that's how Rahul and I came out, and that was my tribute to Panchamda and Asha ji, of course. And so all I can say has been one of the luckiest kids in town, and I'm still lucky because, like Shibani says, you know, when we perform, there's always some R.D. Burman song somewhere there pushing the audience today, 2018. So it's still rocking. Thank you.
So like Leslie, I'm sure most of us have not been fortunate of having met Panchamda or spending time with him. But I think I've been very lucky that because of my familial proximity with the Mangeshkar family and specifically Asha Bhosle ji, I have lived a lot of Panchamda through Asha ji, because every time I meet with her, and I meet with her very often, and we're dining or we're just traveling the country doing something, she gives me stories galore of what she has learned from Asha, from Panchamda. And I have seen that, I think one of us mentioned that, of course, he's musically a god and a musical genius and whatever else, but myself being a student of management, I think Panchamda was a god of management as well. Because I'll just tell you one instance, and then there are stories galore which could be shared later. But when I was doing my first film called Page 3, I sent a song to Asha ji, who was in San Francisco in 2002, when internet was not all that, it wasn't the way it is today. And I wrote a mail to her saying, I would like you to sing it. I'm sending you the files. So she immediately called me from there and said, okay, I'm singing it, but it's going to be for the first time but there's going to be no composer, no lyricist, nobody around me, you know. So she sang it and she sent it back to me, and when she came back to India from San Francisco, she said कि मैंने इसलिए गाया तुम्हारा गाना because मुझे पंचम ने कहा था कि if you don't shape up, you will ship out. कि वक्त के साथ अगर आप आगे नहीं चले, because she said when the first time musicians के साथ गाना खत्म हुआ था और वो हेडफोन शुरू हुआ था और मेल सिंगर पहले गा रहा है, फीमेल बाद में गा रही है, तो Panchamda had told her that if you don't acclimatize yourself with the changing environment, you will be out of business. So she said that thing is stuck in my head. So, you know, I mean, this is just one of the things, but there are millions of things that I've heard from the horse's mouth, because who better than Asha ji would actually say multiple stories and how true the person was to his job and to his craft, that he would play a tune to her and then she would get excited and then he would tell her, no, it's not you, it's Lata ji who's going to sing it tomorrow morning. So it just shows how true a person could be to one's craft. So I think there are a lot of managerial things that one needs to learn, like Shantanu said, ki someone in him must be selling that tune or that whole craft or that whole 5 minute of madness, which is very difficult for most of us, which is why I think we all fail in some manner, but I think Dada sort of, you know, really succeeded, so hats off.
This works. I never met Panchamda. I never even worked with him. But he introduced me to sex. Think of it, the year was 1991, and my parents had got tickets for a film called Karva, and that was running at the Shalimar Cinema. And I went there, and it was this wonderful cinema with a fountain in the lobby, and I think it was the first time from the sheltered enclave that Cuff Parade is, we went to Grant Road to see a movie, and the movie was Karma. And suddenly there was Helen, and she was doing Piya Tu Ab Tu Aaja, and my eyes fell out. And then suddenly 2 reels later there was Aruna Irani doing Charti Javani. 2 reels later, Asha Parekh with a lampshade on her head said Kaisi Phasi. And I went home wondering what had hit me. It was 91, I was a child. And I was in love with all these 3 ladies. It was only 2 weeks later when we went to the Liberty Cinema for the premiere of a film called Aagale Lag Ja, where Sharmila Tagore in orange harem pants did
Vada karo nahi chodogi. And I said, she's copying Helen, yeah. And then a week later, there was Rampur Ka Lakshman and there was Padma Khanna doing. And then I had to connect the dots and I said, it's all the same person doing the music. And though I thought I was in love with Helen and Padma Khanna and Sharmila Tagore and Asha Parekh, actually I fell in love with R.D. Burman. And the moment I saw R.D. Burman on the poster, I used to go and see the film. All of them. I didn't like Gulzar so much, he didn't allow him to use the drums. I said, what is he doing here? Why aren't we doing things that we can do? But there were gems. I went to see, my father finally said, boss, you go and see movies here. We see one a month. This business of seeing one film every week, we can't do. So I went by myself and sat in the stalls at Roxy Cinema and I saw R.D. Burman's, the only film with Devanand and Sharmila Tagore. It was called Ye Gulistan Hamara. And there was wonderful music and nobody's heard of the film. And I still listen to it even today. I'm lucky that I got that legacy. I'm lucky that, well, I'm very unlucky that I didn't work with Panchamda, but I think the musical legacy that I got in 1971, 72 onwards kept me instead, whether it was Patthar Ke Phool, whether it was Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman, whether it was Dil Vil Pyar Vyar, which was a tribute to R.D. Burman, whether it was even my English film, Everybody Says I'm Fine, where I went all the way to San Francisco and blackmailed Carlos Santana to play the lead guitar in the title song without charging me money for it. I think I was truly blessed. And I think all of us are truly blessed. I think it is a pity that I can't remember any of the songs from any of the films this year or last year. But I can remember every song in every single R.D. Burman movie. And that's 5,000 plus songs. So you can imagine how amazing this man must have been. Thank you, R.D. Burman, and thank you, Brahmanand, for everything that you're doing. This is not our legacy. This is something that 50 years later our grandchildren will be hearing. And that is truly what makes a legacy endure. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My introduction to Panchamda was as a listener, as a child. And the one thing that really struck me most, song after song after song, was the catch he had. I mean, he could make a melody groove and he could make the groove melodic. And he had a way of combining both of these elements in a way and marry them with each other in the most perfect way. So when you're listening to a song, if you listen minutely, there are many, many different things that are happening in the song. But if you sit and study that, it gets into very complex forms and very complicated stuff. But as a piece of music, as a song, it just breezes through you. And the second thing that struck me was that when you hear a Panchamda song, you hear the environment. Every time, this was like when I was a kid, 71, 72, 73. Every time I heard a song, there used to be Vivid Bharati back then, and we used to hear the song and I used to kind of imagine, oh, there must be this happening, there must be a hero and a heroine, and they must be dancing in the mountains, or it must be very cold. You know, you have a certain visualization when you hear a piece of music. And every time I would, like, if I happened to see the film, it was exactly the way I had almost, 19-20 ka farak hota tha, but exactly very close to how I had visualized it. So he had a way of bringing in the environment somehow, like, you know, work the music around it in such a way that it was not just a piece of song or just a piece of music. There was a lot more going on there, which made you feel the song in a way where it must be said.
there was only one place where I think I kind of made a mistake there. There was one song which I loved, and I thought the guy singing that must be somebody who's sitting outside a dargah and singing the song, and the hero must be like on the road, like heartbroken and like walking all over the place. But many years later, when I actually saw the visuals of that particular song, it just turned out to be, excuse my memory, but yeah, there was this song, it turned out to be a song where a guy is singing on the stage, and there's no heroine, but there's Amitabh Bachchan in the movie, and it's from a movie called Benam, and the song is called Yara O Yara. Yeah, so that was the only place where my visualization went a little awry, but that was the those were the visuals I had when I first heard that song. So I mean, there are so many things. I mean, anything I say about Pancham Da would really be very small, because there are many people who know much more about him and his music, and Brahma, of course, is saying it. One thing I must say about Brahma is, I think what he's done is phenomenal, and phenomenal for the reason that he is doing, like he was telling me some time back, he was doing something that maybe Pancham Das' son would have done what he was doing. But I said I would add to it, what you're doing is not what Pancham Das' son would have done, but because he wouldn't have been able to give the kind of objective perspective to Pancham Da, the person, the human being and the musician, that you, not being his son, are able to give. And another very beautiful thing about Brahma's documentaries is that there is no voiceover, there is nobody narrating anything. The entire story and the perspectives is interwoven completely through what people who knew Pancham Da and people who know his music, that's the thread of weaving is coming from the spoken words of the people he has talked to. So that gives a completely, it doesn't lead you on the way a voiceover would lead you on to believe something. It's open for you to interpret what you want to. And I think I'll cut this now. There's just one thing I would say. What the documentary and the series that he's basically satiating our curiosity of Pancham Da. We've heard his music. We want to know more about him, his personal life, the person that he was, the human being that he was, his interactions with people, his relationships with people. How did his mind work? How did it function? Why was he the way he was? There is a certain curiosity, and that curiosity Brahma is fulfilling. He's doing what we all would have loved to do but couldn't. But he's taken those extra steps to do that. Ultimately, I think the one great realization we all have from watching Pancham Da's documentaries is that we are all human and we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Not us, not the people we live with. And sometimes we feel it is much easier to walk away from a problem than stay put there and bear with it. And we expect that out of other people, but life doesn't work that way. So there is something a lot more personal, at a very personal level. There's something you can take away from the life of Pancham Da. That's the way, as Brahma says, that's the way life is. There is no other way it will be. You have to just take it as it comes. And there are many, many lessons to be learned from all of this. So Brahma, thank you very much for this, and I'm looking forward to this web series that you're coming up with. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, everyone here. It's my honor and privilege to be sharing the stage with such distinguished music directors, composers, and Vivek Vaswani, who's a friend.
First of all, I would like to compliment Brahmanand Singh for having taken the initiative.
So what was it? What propelled you to do that and things like that? And I said that, had you met Panchamda? And I said, I never met Panchamda. And I think, but that curiosity and that compulsion was so high that probably I spent 3.5 years to make that film, and it was a very expensive way of buying a ticket for a film that I wanted to see. So I think that's what I have to share on this day here, and thank you very much for being here. And I'd like Sonu to say a few things if you want, please.
Hi everyone. First of all, big hi to all the people, my seniors, my colleagues, everyone. Of course, I am not too clued into how much of effort Brahmanand has made in this, but I have heard so much about your documentaries. I haven't seen them, and people from my fraternity always talk about it कि मतलब जैसे इंतहाई कोई बहुत ही मन से बनाई हुई कोई चीज़ है, और इस शाहकार को मैंने देखा नहीं अभी तक. आई रियली सॉरी फॉर दैट. पर इसलिए मैंने कुछ कहा नहीं पहले, क्योंकि जब कुछ पता ही ना, ब्लेस यू, पता ही ना हो तो फिर इंसान उसके बारे में ज़्यादा बोलता हुआ ठीक नहीं लगता. पंचमदा के बारे में मैं अभी जितना निगम साहब ने कह दिया इतनी अच्छी बातें. आई एम लकी दैट आई मेट हिम. आई वॉज अबाउट टू गेट अ चांस टू सिंग फॉर हिम. और पर किस्मत की बात होती है, मेरी किस्मत में नहीं था उनके साथ में काम कर पाना, क्योंकि मैं इस समय दिल्ली में चला गया था कुछ 3-4 महीने के लिए पैसे कमाने के लिए. पैसे ख़त्म हो गए थे यहाँ पे. एंड देन आई केम बैक. तो संपत जी याद है, मधुर ध्वनि स्टूडियो के संपत जी, मधुर ध्वनि थे. सो ही कॉल मी अप एंड सर, तेरी किस्मत ख़राब है, तेरे को पंचमदा ढूंढ रहे थे. फिर मुझे मालूम पड़ा कि 1942 लव स्टोरी के लिए ढूंढ रहे थे, और मैंने वो रिकॉर्डिंग मेरे आंखों के सामने होते हुए देखी है. पंचमदा ने कुमार शानू जी को एक दिन पहले वापस भेज दिया था, क्योंकि वो दाढ़ी बड़ी बनी थी उसकी वजह से. तो हम बड़ी उम्मीद में थे कि शायद आए ना कुमार शानू जी. फिर आ गए मेरे सामने, गाना उन्होंने याद किया. वहीं पर मैंने पहली बार जावेद अख्तर जी को देखा, और मुझे याद है कि मेरे सामने वो गाना सिखा रहे थे. एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा, कभी डिटेल में बातें बताऊंगा. एनीवे, दिस इट्स ग्रेट. आई ऑलवेज फील देयर इज अ वेरी नाइस वर्ड इन फिलोसफी कॉल्ड टेलियोलॉजी. टेलियोलॉजी मीन्स हर चीज़ का, हर इंसान का अल्टीमेट पर्पस. आपकी टेलियोलॉजी ये थी, तो इसलिए दिस वॉज योर टेलियोलॉजी. ऑल द बेस्ट एंड कीप इट अप.
Thank you very much, and I think it's so wonderful to hear that term, and term appropriated here. Thank you very much. I think anyone who might have a few minutes, if you want one-on-one, please feel free.
पीछे चलो रे, पूरा पीछे बाटिया पीछे चलो, अच्छा फोटो मिलेगा. हाँ सर जी, आप सर ऑल ऑफ यू सर जी, यहाँ पे लास्ट ऑल ऑफ यू इधर लेफ्ट साइड.
थैंक यू.
डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज बनाई हैं पंचमदा पे और जगजीत सिंह जी पे. आप वेब सीरीज़ जो कर रहे हैं इसके बारे में मुझे भी बताइए, मुझे भी पता नहीं.
सो वेब सीरीज़ का आइडिया ये है कि इतनी सारी चीज़ें पंचमदा के बारे में निकल के सामने आते रहती है. जब हम उनके गानों को बार बार सुनते हैं, देखते हैं, 10 लोगों से बातें होती है, कि एक प्लेटफॉर्म कुछ मुझे लगा कि ऐसा होना चाहिए जहाँ पे आप जाओ और पंचमदा के बारे में आप बरसों आप बस घुसते रह सकते हो उनके म्यूज़िक के अंदर. में
आप लोगों से बातचीत करेंगे, मतलब कैसे?
मैं लोगों से बातचीत करूंगा और कुछ नए ड्रामेटिक मोमेंट्स भी मैं निकालूंगा. जैसे अब उनके जो डॉक्टर थे लंदन बेस्ड, उस समय में हार्ट का जो किया था, तो उन्होंने उनको जाकर के एक अपने सीडीज़ दिए. वो कैसेट से सीडी वाला पीरियड था.
अच्छा.
So he just so he came back next day, gave him the CDs and said कि पंचम दा sorry मैं old school अभी भी हूँ, मैं कैसेट से ग्रेजुएट नहीं किया हूँ, अगर कुछ कैसेट्स हो तो दे देना आप. तो उन्होंने बोला अच्छा ठीक है कोई बात नहीं. अगले दिन he went to his place for a drink and he went with a cassette player, with a CD player. Yes.
Oh.
Those CDs he gave back. So these are moments which give you an insight into the person. That he was not a person who would go and give him a cassette. He would go and give him CDs. So that's, and I think you, I, and 20 other people around, we are just perpetrators of his legacy.
What are the one who's done the best?
No, I think.
Hi, how are you? बोलिए.
उनका जन्मदिन है. आप कोई विशेष बात उनकी शेयर करना चाहेंगे?
मैं लकी भी हूँ कि मैं उनसे मिल पाया था. अनलकी भी हूँ कि मेरे हाथ से आता हुआ काम चला गया. मुझे मौका मिलने वाला था क्योंकि मैं उस समय दिल्ली चला गया था और 3 महीने के लिए मैं रहा वहाँ पे. तो उस समय संपत जी मदद होने के रिकॉर्डिस्ट थे. उन्होंने मेरा गाना सुनाया था इनके. तो उन्होंने कहा अरे पंचम दा को तेरा गाना याद हो गया. तो जब मैं उनसे फर्स्ट टाइम मिला तो उन्होंने बोला अरे वही है क्या, दीवाना हो गया ये दिल पहली बार. मेरे गाना आगे बता रहे मुझे. तो मैं इतना लकी हूँ कि उनको मेरा गाना याद था. बट जब वो मुझे ढूंढ रहे थे तो मैं उनको नहीं मिल पाया. तो वो एक पर कोई बात नहीं. सबकी हर चीज़ में हम प्लस पॉइंट से देखते हैं. द म्यूजिक स्टेज, द लेगेसी स्टेज, द कैरेक्टर स्टेज. उनके साथ में काम करने वाले बहुत सारे लोग मेरे आज बहुत नज़दीकी दोस्त हैं. राजू सिंह उनमें से सबसे ऊपर है और वो मुझे उनके बारे में बातें बताते रहते हैं. सो आई एम कनेक्टेड टू हिम नेवरदलेस.
मुझे एक सवाल है मेरा आपसे, क्योंकि आप खुद एक सिंगर हैं, आपके ढेरों सारे गाने हिट होंगे. जैसा कि हमने एवी में भी देखा, पंचम दा इस तरह के सिंगर थे कि जो एक्टर जिस तरह का होता था उसके टोन में वो गाने कंपोज करते थे. जैसा कि राजेश खन्ना जी की बात करें, उन्होंने दिखाया गया. क्या प्रेजेंट टाइम में इस तरह की चीज़ें नहीं हो सकती, और अगर होंगी तो क्या वो हिट होगी? माना कि समय की डिमांड है, तो आप अगर बता सकते.
नहीं, पहले की खास बात ये थी जो मैं और भी शांतुर मोहतरे भी बात कर रहे थे कि उस समय सिटिंग्स में एक्टर्स या बाकी लोग जाते थे उंगली करने के लिए नहीं, समझे, एडवाइस देने के लिए नहीं, संगीत सिखाने के लिए नहीं जाते थे. संगीत सीखने के लिए, उस माहौल का मज़ा लेने के लिए, अपने इनपुट्स देने के लिए जाते थे. अभी हर किसी को म्यूजिक में से है. म्यूजिक आता हो या नहीं आता हो, आई थिंक दैट्स गुड बट आई थिंक दिस इज नॉट फाइन एंड इट्स लिटिल लो सोसाइटीज. तो अभी ऐसा मामला है. इसलिए आप कभी भी उस ज़माने में अगर आर.डी. बर्मन के आप जगह पे जाएंगे तो वहाँ पर उनके बराबरी के लोग उनके बराबरी की बातें करेंगे. उनके जो लोग अज्ञानी हैं वो बैठकर ज्ञान नहीं देंगे वहाँ पे. इसलिए ये फ़र्क है.
सोनू, बिल्कुल आप डिसअपियर हो गए हैं लोगों से, मतलब
अरे नहीं, मैं तो बहुत दिखता हूँ. क्या कर रहे हो? इधर थोड़ी दिखता हूँ मैं. जिनको दिखना चाहिए उनको दिखता हूँ मैं.
इंडियन आइडल में इस बार मिस करेंगे हम आपको.
हाँ, मैं इतना मिस करता पिछली बार, लेकिन हर बार ऐसा नहीं हो पाता, पॉसिबल होता. एनीवे आज हम बात की शॉर्ट करें. हाँ जी, कि मेरी कुछ वेब सीरीज नहीं, मैं शॉर्ट फिल्म मैंने किया है. करेंगे बाद अपन.
हाँ, यस जी.
जब उनकी बात होती है, उनके आप गाने सुनती है, क्या कुछ जहन में आता है, क्या दिमाग में आता है?
जब पंचम दा की बात होती है तो एक लगता है कि एक ऐसे जीनियस हैं जो हमेशा आज भी हमारे साथ जी रहे हैं, क्योंकि उनका म्यूज़िक हमेशा जीवित रहेगा. जीनियस म्यूजिशियन, एक मिस्ट्री, एक लेजेंड, एक बहुत प्यारी हस्ती, एक दीवानापन सा था उनमें, विच आई वुड लाइक टू नो मोर. और अब ब्रह्मानंद ने ये वेब सीरीज़ बनाने जा रहे हैं और ये डॉक्यूमेंट्री भी बनाई है, तो आई एम डाइंग टू सी कि what lay behind that man, that genius. So and I'd like to of course wish him happy birthday, and he's still alive for us. Pancham Da lives with us forever. जी, करेक्ट. आई अग्री विद यू. आपने क्या बात कह दी है. आई जस्ट थिंक जो आपने बोला कि पंचम दा जब एक एक्टर की कैरेक्टर को और उसकी पर्सनालिटी को स्टडी करते थे,
वो वॉइस को भी वैसा ही चूज करते थे और गाने को कंपोज भी उसी तरीके से करते थे. यू वुड हियर द सॉन्ग एंड यू हाँ ये अमिताभ बच्चन है, यू वुड हियर द सॉन्ग एंड ये देवानंद है. इतना कैरेक्टरिस्टिक उन्होंने सही. ही यूज्ड टू डू ग्रेट कास्टिंग. कहते हैं ना कास्टिंग उनकी बिल्कुल परफेक्ट थी, म्यूजिकल कास्टिंग. सो आई थिंक इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू स्पेंड टाइम. आजकल तो क्या है ना कि किसी ने कोई भी गाना गा दिया और उसको लग रहा है कि गाना चलेगा तो कहीं भी इसको छेप दो छाप दो. आई थिंक वी आर ऑल इन अ हरी, वी आर इन अ रैट रेस. हम लोग जल्दबाजी में हैं कि हाय गाना हिट हो जाए, हाय पैसे बन जाए, हाय ये हो जाए, फिल्म भी हिट हो जाएगी. आई थिंक वक्त अगर स्पेंड किया जाए जैसे वो वक्त बिताते थे तो ये गाने जो आज तक और हमेशा हमेशा इटर्नल और हमेशा एवर लास्टिंग रहेंगे. वी विल गेट विनर्स. वी शुड.